Dr. Casper here, and welcome to The Political Scientist. The winner of Kenya 2022, according to my analysis, is Ruto. Now, does that mean Ruto will be the next president of Kenya? That is to be seen, because it is one thing to win an election, it's a totally different thing to take the seat of the president. In order to do this, we will see a lot of things happen in the courts. So, for Azimio is going to capture the state in this case. One, discredit the IEBC. Two, go to the Supreme Court. If the Supreme Court announce the election, cause chaos on the street, delay the elections inevitably, have the state take over until further notice, which will lead to a handshake. On the event that the Supreme Court votes against Azimio, then the next step for Azimio is to cause chaos on the street and lead to a third handshake. Either way, the goal is the third handshake, or I believe Ruto will edge in this election and take it. But if he edges, does he have the ability to take over? Now, Azimio, I believe, may be reading the letters on the wall that say the end is very near. And this might be what is delaying us knowing the results. And so, in this case, it's in their best interest to first find ways to argue that the IEBC has technicalities, irregularities, and the rest, because you have to show that in order to take them to court, in order to try and nullify the elections. Okay, and so this is part one of what Azimio is planning. Part two will be to find ways to destabilize the state in the advent that the Supreme Court either doesn't take the case because it doesn't bear merit, or if it takes the case and then rules in the favor of Kenya Kwanza. And so Ruto will have to decisively take the state, control the state security agents and apparatus immediately, and quell any form of violent protest. If he's unable to do this, it's going to be very hard. And again, we'll even be able to get to the point of being able to take the state to be able to do all these things. In other words, I believe there's a lot of things that might happen after tomorrow's announcement. So, for those who can, take it to prayer, because things are about maybe to be very hot.
IEBC Chairman Wafula Chebukati has defended his conduct of the August 9th presidential election and declaration of William Ruto as the president-elect. Chebukati, in response to Azimio la Umoja One Kenya presidential candidate Raila Odinga's petition at the Supreme Court, listed Vice Chief of Defense Forces Lieutenant General Francis Ogola, Inspector General of Police Hilary Mutyambai, Solicitor General Kennedy Ogeto, and Principal Administrative Secretary in the Office of the President, Kennedy Kihara, among top national government officials who were coercing him to moderate the presidential results in Odinga's favor, and in the alternative, a runoff poll ostensibly in national security interest.
And as just reviewed some of those things I said about the discrediting of the IEBC, and why is it necessary to discredit them vis-a-vis the necessity to annul the elections and go to a re-election and such. And of course, some of these things predicted have come as said. There's a couple of things, of course, for myself. I would like to know the answers, because otherwise what I said is what actually took place. The idea that some saw the election as having gone to a particular person and the actions that took place. For example, 4 questions that we have to ask ourselves. How did 4 commissioners at the time of announcing the election have the ability to get a police escort to ferry them across the city from Bonas to Serena? What time did they have to organize a national press conference at that place? How were they able to get all the press there and the rest and the preparations? So how fast, how were they, only 4 independent commissioners, how are they able to pull all this off? And so these are some of the things that have to be asked. What are they really independent? The other part that we have to look at is somebody has to be telling the truth and somebody has to be lying. Is it possible for us to argue that a person who was outside governmental power could have potentially taken the election, which some people claim Ruto may have taken the election in a way that was not legal? Is that actually physically possible, since he's not the one actually in charge of government? So that's the other question that is crucial that has to be answered. And then we have to look at the importance of Chebukati's claim, the head of the IEBC, the Independent Electoral and Boundary Commission. He argues that there were continuous harassments and intimidations. And I want us to also look at something that I said about who has the tactical advantage when it comes to taking over the state. So let's watch. Raila, on the other hand, for the first time in his political career, I would argue, he has the state regime on his side. And that is due to his relationship with Uhuru Kenyatta, the president. And so this is an opportune time for Raila because he's always on the outside. This time, he can be able to effectively have the state regime and the state machinery behind him. And that will be important for him when it comes to trying to take over the state. Let's go to the next thing that's important in taking over the state: security agencies. Raila has something. It's called the NMS plus NMC. The Nairobi Metropolitan Command is a military command to avert terrorism or attacks on the capital. Okay? Now, why is this important? Because it's important to know who has the security agencies and where those security agencies' allegiance lie if there is an event of insecurity, i.e. protests. And at this point, I'm not sure if the police are the ones who are going to step in or the NMS.
Chebukati turned the heat on top national security officials, claiming hours before he declared the presidential election results in Ruto's favor, they had piled pressure on him and the other 6 IEBC commissioners to alter the State House race outcome. In a sworn affidavit filed at the Supreme Court Registry by his legal team led by Wambua Kilonzo, Chebukati told the Apex Court of a series of behind-the-scene intrigues at the Bomas of Kenya, the National Tallying Center, on 15th of August at 10 a.m. According to Chebukati, he was informed that a team from the National Security Advisory Committee wanted to see him. That delegation was led by Principal Administrative Secretary in the Office of the President Kennedy Kihara and included Vice Chief of Defense Forces Francis Ogola, Inspector General of Police Hilary Mutiambai, and Solicitor General Kennedy Ogeto. Chebukati claims the delegation's arrival was preceded by a call he received from the head of Public Service Joseph Kinyua, informing him that top government officials were at Bomas of Kenya to discuss with him issues relating to assumption of office. According to Chebukati, the national security team cautioned him against declaring Ruto as president-elect to avert chaos in the country. The delegation's second message, according to Chebukati, was that if he could not announce Odinga as the presidential election winner, then he should state that no presidential candidate met the constitutional threshold of garnering more than half of the total votes cast and order a repeat State House race, a proposal Chebukati says was supported by his deputy Juliana Cherera and Commissioners Justus Nyang'aya, Irene Masit and Francis Wanderi, who have accused him of isolating them in commission decisions. Commissioners Professor Abdi Yakub Gulie and Boya Molu and IEBC CEO Marjan Hussein Marjan, who are in Chebukati's corner, according to the Commission's chairman's affidavit, rejected the Security Committee's proposal. The runoff proposal, according to Chebukati, was seen as a win-win situation by the 4 commissioners, with Cherera suggesting manipulation of Ruto's votes by moving 133,211 votes from his tally to adjust upwards the number of rejected votes, a move he claims he rejected and was supported by Molu, Gulie and Marjan. The National Security Advisory Committee's proposal, according to Chebukati, were preceded by similar overtures by a team that had visited him at 3 a.m. on the same day, comprising Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Coalition Party Executive Director Raphael Tuju, former Attorney General Amos Wako, and lawyer Chalo Mbobu. Tuju and Wako, according to Chebukati, proposed that he moderates the presidential election results in Odinga's favor to avoid plunging the country into chaos. In the alternative, Tuju proposed that Chebukati and his team force a runoff, a move that would be adequately rewarded. He claims Cherera, Masit, Wanderi and Nyang'aya supported the Wako-Tuju proposal, while his team of Molu, Gulie and Marjan rejected it.
All right, so we've seen that. And so, as you can see, Chebukati said the head of the vice chair of the military, the police, heads of the police. He talked about the Solicitor General, the legal arm of the country, and he talked about the chief in the State House, all working towards pressuring him for matters national security to announce Raila as the president. So you can clearly see somebody has to be telling the truth, somebody has to be lying. And so, according to Chebukati, the 4 commissioners are in cahoots with the state powers to prevent Ruto from attaining power or attaining the seat of presidency. You can clearly see all these things are coming to pass. IEBC has been discredited and is currently, they're working to discredit in the courts. You can see the state control and the state forces also were working behind the scenes. And so all these things are taking place. And so if you want to reference, please go look at some of the other predictions I did make concerning the elections. Until the next video, this is the Political Scientist. Please subscribe, follow, like, and the rest. Until the next video, bye-bye and be blessed.